back to French Action, and if you are new here, a warm welcome. Are you planning to live in France and rent an accommodation? Well, if you are, then this video is for you. Today, we will be looking at the Contrat de location, which is the lease agreement you will have to sign. This video will help you to understand this document before signing it. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! Before we get right into the lease agreement, I would like to explain how accommodation is advertised in France. It's not advertised according to the number of bedrooms, but according to the number of rooms. And what is a room? A room is where you sleep and where you live in. Therefore, a kitchen is not counted as a room. A bathroom is not counted as a room. So here you can see a studio à louer, which is basically one room which does bedroom and living room. And you have what we call a kitchenette. Kitchenette comes from the English word kitchen. There's no door, it's just in a corner, but it's still like a kitchen. And then you will see this little corridor on the left, which will lead to the bathroom and the toilet. So the way it's advertised is that you might see F1 or T1, which is just a one-bedroom accommodation. Then if you see an F2 or T2, is one bedroom and one living room. Can you guess what F3 and T3 would be? Then it will be two bedrooms and one living room. This is an example of an ad for an apartment in France. Let's read it together. Appartement T1 à louer, 40 mètres carrés, meublé, bon état, grand placard dans l'entrée, cuisine séparée et équipée, salle de douche, WC séparé, bus à proximité, libre de suite, 500 €, charges comprises, ascenseur, interphone. So let's go through the vocabulary together. So the APPT is basically the abbreviation for appartement. T1, you know that is a one-bedroom apartment. Alloué, for rent. Then you're going to have the surface area. It will always be there in France. Meublé means furnished. Bon état, good condition. Grand placard dans l'entrée. So you know that there's a big cupboard at the entrance of the apartment. Cuisine séparée et équipée. So here it's different from the picture we've seen before because you will have a proper kitchen, meaning with a door, a room, which you can call a kitchen. And it will be équipé, just like the one we've seen in the picture before, where you're going to have your fridge, your cooker, could even have a dishwasher, etc., oven, etc. Salle de douche, shower room, which is separated from your toilet, so you're not going to have the toilet in your shower room. Bus à proximité, so you have buses running nearby. Libre de suite, which means that it's available immediately. And then you're going to get the cost, or shall I say the rent, 500 €. CC stands for charges comprises. Charge is basically your water, electricity, and heating. Charge comprise. Comprise means included. Ascenseur, lift or elevator. Interphone, intercom. You have visited an apartment, you're happy with it, and you want to take it. So you're going to make an appointment to sign the lease agreement, which is the Contrat de location. So this is the part which is very important for you, and that's what the video is all about. So let's go through the key words so that you understand your Contrat de location when you come to having it in your own hands. So, entre les sous-signés, this is something that you will probably not have known because it's sous-signé is a word we see especially on contracts, so it's a legal jargon. And sous-signé really means the undersigned. So, who are the undersigned? Le bailleur, le locataire. So, ci après dénommé means hereafter called. Le bailleur is going to be the owner of the apartment, and le locataire is going to be you, the tenant. Then you will see the word désignation. Désignation is the type of accommodation you are going to be renting. So it could be, for example, an appartement, which happens to be on the 3rd floor, or une maison individuelle, which is a detached house. And then you're going to have more information about the accommodation. In order to understand the description of the accommodation, I'm going to show you first some pictures with the relevant vocabulary. So, for example, we have une hotte. Une hotte is a hood, as you can see. Then we have plaque de gaz 3 feux. So you can see that we have the 3 burners here. And then we have the oven, which is un four. Why not have un lave-vaisselle, a dishwasher? Un lave-vaisselle. And then you could have une cave. And a cave is very helpful, especially if you have a lot of stuff in your apartment which you don't really need on an everyday basis. So what you do, you go to the cellar and put your stuff. And I remember when I was a kid, we had a cellar, and this cellar was always full, but it's also where I used to put my bicycle. So the bicycles were always in the cellar because obviously it wasn't used every day. So a cellar can be very useful. On the lease agreement, you may see the description of the accommodation just like that. For example, appartement d'une pièce, la cuisine est équipée d'une plaque de gaz 3 feux, d'une hotte, d'un four électrique et d'un lave-vaisselle. Parking au sous-sol, une cave au sous-sol. The words we haven't seen here is parking, which is car park, and sous-sol, which is basement. This part tells you the starting date of the tenancy and when it's going to end. So prise d'effet means effective, et durée is duration. So le présent contrat est consenti du au Le présent, whenever you see présent contrat, it just means this contract. So this contract was agreed from and then you have a date 2, then another date, okay? So if you're there for 1 year, it's going to be 1 year. Destination. Destination has nothing to do with traveling. It just means the purpose. Why are you renting this accommodation? Is it going to be your main residence? Location à usage de résidence principale. And then what you may see something like le locataire s'interdit notamment d'exercer dans les locaux loués toute activité commerciale, industrielle ou artisanale. So this means the tenant is forbidden to use the accommodation for any commercial, industrial, or craft activity. So you have to be very careful because it does say that you cannot run a business. This is supposed to be your main residence, where you're going to live. This part is about the rent. So let's read it together. Le loyer est payable mensuellement d'avance et en totalité le premier de chaque mois par virement automatique. Ce dernier devra être mis en place avant la deuxième mensualité. Okay, so the first key word here is loyer. You must know that word, which is the rent. Mensuellement means monthly. D'avance, I'm sure you can guess that it means in advance. And then virement automatique is by direct debit or direct deposit. So that is something you will have to arrange with your bank. Ce dernier always refers to the word before. So ce dernier is like in English we say the latter. Être mis en place means to be set up. And the other key word is mensualité, which is the monthly payment. So let's see what translation can that give us. So the rent is payable monthly in advance and in full on the first of each month by direct deposit. The latter must be set up before the second monthly payment. So you may remember that the 500 euros included all charges, and what we call charge in French is water, electricity, and heating, eau, électricité, and chauffage. So this is what they're saying. Il est rappelé que la provision sur charge est révisable chaque année en fonction des dépenses réelles. So my translation would be something like, please be reminded that provision on charges is revisable each year according to the actual expenses. Well, yes, because the owner doesn't know how much water or how much electricity or heating you're going to be using. So that's why we have en fonction des dépenses réelles, based on the actual expenses. Dépôt de garantie. Well, you need to have your dépôt de garantie to get the accommodation. Your dépôt de garantie is usually 2-month rent deposit. And then you have to remember that we said that the rent is payable monthly in advance. So you have to pay 1 month rent. So in effect, you are paying 3 times the rent. So this is very important to remember that. En annexe du présent contrat, les parties reconnaissent avoir remis ou reçu un état des lieux dressé lors de la remise de clés, un jeu de 3 clés. So here, en annexe du présent contrat, it just means that in addition to the contract, les parties, so les parties is obviously the buyer and le locataire, okay, they reconnaissent, they acknowledge that they have provided you with the two things which are coming up in a minute, or that you have received it, okay? Un état des lieux is an inventory of all the things which are in the property. We're not going to look at the état des lieux in this video. I'm hoping to do one separately, okay? Remise de clés is when you get the keys to your accommodation. So that would be obviously after signing the contract. Un jeu de 3 clés, that is interesting because un jeu means a game, but we're not talking about a game here. We're just talking about a set of 3 keys, probably 2 keys for the flat or the apartment and 1 key for the seller. And you also have un dossier de diagnostic technique, ERNT ou ERNMT, Diagnostic de performance énergétique. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. Le certificat d'assurance souscrite par le locataire. So we're talking about insurance, insuring the property, okay? Souscrite par le locataire, which will obviously be taken out by you as a tenant. Le diagnostic ERNMT actually stands for État des risques naturels, miniers et technologiques. So it's a document you will get depending on where the accommodation is located. And of course, if it's an accommodation which is prone to flooding, for example, because the accommodation is near a river, then it will be compulsory for the owner to provide you with this document. And it's valid for 6 months for the sale of the property, but it has to be renewed for any new tenant. Okay? So I hope that you will not get that. So this is what a diagnostic de performance énergétique looks like. It is performed by a professional and valid for 10 years, but the onus is on the owner to get it done, so you don't have to worry about that. And of course, you don't want a diagnostic which is in the red part, which is the F and G. You don't want that if possible. What this diagnostic does is really to reveal all the faults that the apartment would have in terms of energy. So this is a paper that you will get from the landlord. It is compulsory for that landlord to provide you with it, and this since 2007, and we are in 2021. So I have a last paragraph to go through with you, and this is the vocabulary you're going to come across, like résilier un contrat, which is to terminate a contract, en cas de, in the event of, and défaut, which means in this context, failure. Le présent contrat sera résilié de plein droit en cas de défaut de paiement du loyer, des provisions de charges ou de la régularisation annuelle de charges. So, this contract will be automatically terminated in the event of non-payment of rent, charge provisions, or annual charge adjustment. So you can see here, the structure is the same en cas de défaut, in the event of. So versement du dépôt de garantie, we know that we're talking about the deposit, okay? So if you don't pay the deposit, you cannot have the accommodation. En cas de défaut d'assurance des risques locatifs par le locataire, remember we talk about this insurance that the tenant has to get. So the same thing, if you don't have it, you can't have the accommodation. Sauf, and when you see sauf, it means except. Si le bailleur a souscrit une assurance pour le locataire. So if the owner has already paid for an insurance for the tenant, obviously you don't need to get one. Okay, so it is important to find out this before you sign your contract. And the last part, and I wanted to leave it in English here, en cas de trouble de voisinage constaté par une décision de justice, in the event of a neighborhood disturbance noted by a court decision. So make sure that there's no fight, you don't play music which is too loud, and so on. So we reach the very last part, which is the signature. So fait A means that you are going to put the name of the town where you're going to be signing from, and le will be the date. Le bailleur, who is the owner, is going to sign under the word le bailleur, and you're going to sign under the word le locataire. As simple as that. Congratulations! You signed your contract because you were able to understand it. Well, this is the end of the video, and I hope you have enjoyed it and you found it useful, and please show it by liking it, sharing it, and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so. Au revoir!